Welcome to the Seek Wisdom podcast, where we talk with others who love Jesus about wisdom in the faith. I'm your host, Nehemiah Peterson, and today I'm here with Pastor Darren. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah.
So if somebody is hearing this, doesn't know who you are, give them some background on your experience with ministry. Give some creative background too, since we're going to be kind of talking about a creative topic today. I think that's super relevant. So yeah.
For sure. Well, okay, a little bit about me. I'm a dad. I'm married. I've been married over 17 years. We have 3 kids, and love my family. It's so good. And in terms of my professional background and experience, I've been in ministry now about 20 years, but it's been in different versions. So I was kind of like in high school and college, I was doing design on the side. I was using whatever software was available to me, that kind of stuff. And then through college, I was doing band posters and whatever I could design.
Super
right?
cool.
Yeah, I was doing it totally wrong.
Yeah.
It probably still to this day I have bad technique, but it's just how I started.
That's
you
funny.
know?
Yeah.
But then through college, first job out of college, I was a graphic designer. I worked in a small sign shop, so I was doing branding for small businesses, the kind of thing you might see on their truck or their shop, that kind of stuff. And I was doing everything from design to cutting vinyl to the whole thing, right? Small businesses are volatile, so I lost that job because they couldn't pay me anymore, right? Pretty
Fair
straightforward.
enough. Yeah.
But that got me into creative agencies. So I went from there to a design agency where I was doing bigger branding projects. It was a lot of fun experience. I was more of a creative director, junior creative. I was early in my career, but kind of a junior role, leading the project, leading the art direction, that kind of stuff. Awesome experience. And from there, I kind of stumbled my way into ministry. I always knew I probably should have been in ministry, just to be fair, but I never could find my place in ministry, and that maybe could be something we talk about, particularly with creatives.
Sure.
But I just couldn't see myself in the right role. And someone opened a door for me and said, hey, we think we maybe have a role. And so I did a variety of things. It was a smaller church, one-man band, designing, printing, doing it all myself. Did that for about 10 years. And then I took over a creative team where I had a much larger team, where I had, about 13, 14 people on my team, filmmaking, branding, design, events, you name it. And then the Lord led us to Journey just a few years ago, where I get to continue to oversee creative, but I also, my portfolio is a little more diverse here. But that's a little bit of my creative background. On top of that, I will say, I've always done freelance work, always. It's just, you get to do passion projects, help. I've done some work for missionaries and other businesses that just can't hire a company, to help them. And then I do some work also for a missions organization. I'm a comm director for them as well. So
super cool.
A wide variety of little things.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And we can talk about more, but that's a little bit of my background.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's great. Yeah. And I think that the reason that I wanted to talk to you today with your creative background and, with your ministry background is there's a topic that I get asked about from time to time amongst friends, amongst believers and non-believers alike.
Yeah.
There's kind of this balance in the church world, I feel like these days, in regards to like excellence, quality, stuff like that regarding media, whether it's branding or films or whatever, and kind of how much do we do of that? How are we stewarding finances? How are we stewarding time? Stuff like that. But there's also a level of importance for inspiration and stuff like that. And so the topic specifically is the importance of inspiration in the church and finding the balance. Let's talk about the pros, the cons, the balance, stuff like that. The first question that I wanted to ask you is, just in general, this could be music, this could be graphics, this could be films. Why do you think inspiration is so important in the church?
I think beauty matters. I think we care more. I think we care more about what we experience and see than probably we even understand about ourselves. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an architect. That was what I wanted to be. I actually told my parents I wanted to be an architect by day and an artist by night.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's what I mean, in some ways I'm kind of living that life, in a different way, of course. But I think when I think about the importance of it and think back to even just what my heart was as growing up as a kid, I think I saw things that I really liked and didn't understand maybe why I liked them, but they were beautiful, right? And I think everybody has that experience. They just can't put their finger on why that matters. And when I think about architecture, the design of a building, when you walk into the building we're in today, or you walk into a different building, the design of it informs what you're about to experience. It tells a story, right? So when you walk up to a home, it feels different than when you walk up to a museum, or you walk up to a train station, or you walk up to an office building. They all tell a different story from a design perspective, right? Now, the purpose and how they're built and what they do, their function, that's also very important, right? They all serve different functions. They're all designed different ways. But actually, the experience of seeing something informs what you are about to expect. That's what I'm trying to say there.
Yeah.
And so when I think about the church world, we carry with us a really important responsibility to reflect who God is, to reflect the character of God, to reflect what he values. And God's a creator from the very, very beginning. So at a base level, God created, God is creative, God inspires us. And that in many ways is just a reflection. That's for no other reason. That's why it matters in the church.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. And I also think too, whether it's message writing or films or music or whatever, like I feel like God has made us in his image, and we're creative because he's creative.
Yeah, we're
right?
reflecting that.
Mm-hmm.
We're reflecting that 100%.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. The next thing that I wanted to ask you is kind of on the other side of things. Like I feel like that was kind of the pros, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to be a reflection of God. We want to be more like Christ. Christ is creative. On the flip side, where do you think the line is? Can you give some examples or heart behind going too far down the road of inspiration in regards to financial stewardship, other angles? Like the example that I think of that I've had brought to me is, like some of these cathedrals or whatever, how they're beautiful, but they're humongous. They have crazy levels of artwork, and like I love it. It's super cool. But I think I understand the perspective of like how much money went into making that. Like, is that really money that should have been going into making a 20-foot by 20-foot stained glass window or a 50 by 50 painting when that money could have gone to the homeless? It could have gone to the widows and orphans. I think that's a valid perspective. And so I would just love to know where you think the line is and maybe some heart behind that.
Well, let's talk about some of the examples you raised. I think that's a good place to kind of, they're out there enough where we can work our way to ones that might be a little bit more personal.
Yeah, of course.
But let's start with ones that are a little further out there. Okay, so let's talk about the stained glass, and let's talk about the beautiful cathedrals that have been built for thousands of years, right? There certainly was a downside to that. Of course, you can read the history and see that. But I think if you go from the base level, what you're talking about is what is your heart, and what are you trying to reflect through your heart? And so when I think about things like that, I think, okay, are you trying to honor God through that? Are you trying to worship God through that? Now that could be misguided.
Right.
But if the heart is that God called me to this, God gave me this gift, God is inspiring the art I'm making, then who are we to judge what the result is, right? Like, I think it's true that we should have discernment. I'm not suggesting we don't have discernment or don't
right. Like there's a
rightly divide truth. I'm not
right.
Don't chase it down that.
Sure.
I'm just suggesting, if you go all the way to the end of it, is not God worthy of it all?
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So he is worthy of everything. Everything I have is his. So why not give it all back in worship and service to God? And in an even more beautiful way, we just talked about it. If you're reflecting the character of God and you're being creative, then go for it. Like you think about the Sistine Chapel, and like you think about these beautiful, beautiful works of art that have stood the test of time. I don't think it's just because they were good quality. I believe, no, in some of these cases, they were honoring God. It was worship, and worship endures.
Yeah.
It you know what I mean? So I think if you go to that end of the conversation, like these massive things, yes, is there waste? Sure. But I guess I have to be honest, I reject the premise of the argument that says it had to be this or. Why does it have to be this or? God is a God of abundance. I think when people put on the table, and I know you're just presenting it as
right.
It's not your
devil's
argument.
advocate here.
But I think it's precisely that. I think it's an advocate for the devil.
Yeah.
I mean that. Like, these are not things that are meant to be at odds. Why couldn't we create the most beautiful places, the most beautiful art, the most beautiful music, the most eloquent messages and sermons and all of that, that, again, not for creative sake, but out of worship, out of reflecting who God is. Do that and reach people with the gospel, reach the unreached, care for the widow and orphan. I don't see anywhere in Scripture, and maybe I'm overlooking something, where I have to choose one of those. Right? God is a God of abundance. He can do all things. So I think we have to be careful. This goes beyond creativity.
Right.
I think we have to be careful to put at odds things God never put at odds. We do that, right? We introduce something here that was never meant to be there. Now, let's go a little more personal. So, is there waste in this conversation? Is there waste? Totally. There's like, I think the way I say it is like, if you're just chasing cool, you're just creating cool and chasing someone else, frankly. First of all, you're not honoring what God has called you to do. You're not being a good steward of your resources. So forget the creativity. You're doing 10 other things before this has anything to do with creativity. Now, hopefully you're not doing it in the name of creativity.
Right.
Well, I'm doing it because we need to be creative. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, creativity actually, in many ways, performs best and actually enjoys constraint. Right? Now, don't just place constraint just to place it, but I think there are plenty of times where we think we need more, we think we need resources, and really we can be very creative with what God has given us. So, is there waste? Yes. And one example, and God forbid if they're listening to this podcast, but one example that comes to mind, we're entering like holiday season. Almost every year, like a meme gets thrown around, or like a short video of some church that has like a dozen people flying around their auditorium.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I just think, okay, is that really what? Like, is that what we're doing here?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
But I have to stop myself and go, if I had the resources to do something like that, and I'll just be honest, I've been in places where the resources have not really been a limitation.
Sure.
Not a real limitation. You still have to step back and go, just because I can, should I?
Right.
Right. So that one always comes to mind, as I think that's probably a little beyond what we need to be doing. But I think for the most part, I think there are far more churches, if we're talking specifically in that vein, there are far more churches who are good stewards of God's resources than the few that are not.
Right.
I just think that's true. There are far more people who are writing good music because God is inspiring it than people who are just chasing cool. And by the way, the market will play it out. Bad writers of songs generally do not make it.
Right.
So anyway, we can make that argument all day long, but I think we have to be careful to not put them at odds.
Yeah.
We can do both, is what I'm trying to say.
No, I love that. I mean, I even just think of like how you're saying like God is abundant. And I almost feel like, not almost, I feel like if God has called someone to make something. Yeah. Regardless of the resources that it's going to take to complete that vision. Like, let's say that they complete that vision with the exact budget, whatever, budget of time, budget of resources, whatever, that God intended. Yeah. Even if it's a lot, if God has inspired that, he's going to provide what's necessary. Yes. And I also feel like, I think of like, even like the feeding of the 5,000, where it's like,
it's extravagant.
They had 12 baskets left over.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
We see it as like there's this limited amount of resource, and we have to be very careful with which buckets we put it in. And I think to some extent there's truth to that.
You got to be a good steward. Yes, I agree. Yeah.
But God can multiply, and he does all the time. Yeah. Like you hear story after story of people who are like, we didn't have enough to tithe or give, but we did it, and we somehow had enough money because God is faithful. And I believe that. I think that's a good mindset. I think if you're going into it with the right intentions based on God's inspiration and not based on, we saw this church 45 minutes away who did this cool thing, let's just do it.
Everybody does that. Right. But again, I think I think you can taste that. I think you can smell it. I think you
Yeah.
can feel it. I used to, so I taught a college course for a while on basics of layout and design, kind of introducing people to this topic, right? One of the weeks, what I'd have them do, I should say, wide variety, right? Because this is not everybody's major. Some were taking as an extra class. Some people, this is their whole thing. So you'd have a wide variety of skill set. But one of the weeks that I have them do is I'd say, hey, pick a brand you like, pick a website, pick a social media, pick a magazine, whatever it is, something that represents that brand well. Bring it in and just bring it with you, right? So I didn't tell them what they're going to do with it. I just said, bring it with you. And I said, it's amazing, right? You love it. Now I want you to try to copy it. With the skills you have, I want you to copy it. Because it's so easy for us to go, well, that's easy.
Right.
Like that wasn't that hard. That video, yeah, it's not a big deal. Or that design, whatever. I mean, no one even got close. You know what I mean? Like some maybe, you get the right colors, but no one could get quite the right font. They couldn't find the right photo treatments. I just said, this just shows the layers that it takes to get to where you're going. When we're talking about what we're doing, we're not just representing a brand, we're representing Jesus. So when we better show up, by the way, with a not copycat of something else.
Right.
We better not show up with that. Like, shame on us if we do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, learn from, right? Great artists steal, that whole idea. Yeah, learn from them. That's amazing. But don't copy. By the way, it's not going to work.
Right.
You're going to copy it. This is a leadership lesson. If you copy what someone else is doing and expect the same results, you're crazy. It's never going to work. And then you go, what's going on? Why not? The same for creatives. You try to write the same song. You try to design the same thing. You try to create the same experience, whatever it may be. You try to write the same sermon. It's never going to come out the way someone else did it. And I think that's just to go, sometimes I think what happens when we do that, because I've done it where I go, man, that's awesome. I call it the easy button. Just, remember those, like the easy button?
Yeah.
Like, just hit the easy button. Just, that's fine. Run with that. I feel like a fake because I am one when I do that, right? I feel like a fraud because I am one when I do that. Again, it's okay to learn, but if you're just straight up like copying.
Right.
Now, here's what's crazy. So what I told you earlier, we were on that, used to lead this team, larger team, and we had quite a bit of influence, even worldwide, in terms of what we were creating, the designs we were putting out, the films, the albums, events we were doing. Really beautiful experience. I'm so grateful I got to have it. One day I walked into my office and we had done a sermon series. I think we may have still been in it or it just ended. It was not like long after if it had ended. Walked to my office and there's a sheet of paper on my desk and it was the exact same sermon series. I mean, exactly the same design, but it was translated into Russian.
Oh, so it's one that you guys had done.
We had designed it.
Okay, sure.
From scratch, unique name, unique design, no templates, we're doing all this,
right.
But it's in Russian. And that was one of those moments where, okay, there is something though about the kingdom of God that was so beautiful. Like, I was so grateful and humbled that we put out a design. They never talked to us. They did but some church who is Russian speaking or is in Russian or whatever, saw it and were inspired by it and thought we can learn from this. And they just ran with it. Yeah. And it didn't bother me at all. I loved it.
Yeah, yeah.
It. So there are moments like that. We're one family in the kingdom of God. That's great.
Right.
But also give credit where credit's due, that kind of stuff. I just think if your heart, though, is I'm going to copy that, I'm going to chase cool, it will show.
Right.
The fruit of it will be, it feels phony.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I also think that, like, when I, even not in church world, whatever, just in general making videos and stuff, like, I'll give a shout out to Stephen Bertolin, one of the filmmakers who was at Journey a while back. But he made a testimony video. I know I said not in church, but I'm going to use a church example. He made a testimony.
It's because you're in business.
Yeah,
this is why you're saying it. Yeah.
He made a testimony video about this guy. I can't even fully remember what it was about right now, but I just remember being like, okay, I have this testimony video for this church. I was working in Seattle at the time, and I was using it as inspiration, and I was like, I'm just going to make this. Yeah. So I did try to copy it straight up with this new person. And I just was like, this one like mine sucks.
Yeah.
Like I tried so hard to basically just rip off this video,
Yeah.
and with good intentions.
Yeah.
I was like, this is good,
Yeah.
and this honors God, and this is gonna be moving for people or whatever. And I'm just like, man, like mine stinks. So we had to start over. And what we made after was great. And I took some things from his. I was like, I like how this is lit, or I like how whatever.
As
right?
you should.
Like,
That's just being a smart creative.
Right.
Everybody that, like, whether you're like, if you're a guitar player, I'm going, how does he play that line? How does he get that tone? Right. Like, I'm gonna go see what pedals he uses, what amp he uses. I'm gonna chase that down. That's okay. What filters are they running through Lightroom? Like, those are all good things.
Right.
It's just when you just try to straight up copy it.
Right.
It's like, let's not do that.
It's weird.
Let's not do that.
No,
by the way,
good.
that goes back to God as God of an abundant. He's an abundant God, God of abundance. He has more for you. Like, man, we just take what little from someone else.
Right.
Like, oh man, if they just have a little, they can pour off. And God's going, I'd love to like pour out into you inspiration.
I have unique things that you're not even tapping into
voice,
because you're trying to copy. Yes.
Yeah. And I just think,
cool.
again, he's a father first, right? I think of him as a father in my life, and God the Father. And I just think of myself as a dad. And I go, you can, like, sure, you can do that. That's fine. I would love, though, if you went this, because I got more for you if you go this way. But you can do that. That's fine. And you'll learn, and you'll come back to me later and go, it didn't work out. I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, let me help you.
Yeah. No, that's so good.
I only know that because of how many times I've done it.
Right.
And I go back and I'm just like, okay, God, I'm so sorry. And he's like, are you ready to do what I had for you now?
Right.
Cool. Let's go. Yeah,
so. I'm going through that a little bit right now, actually. God called me about a little over a month ago. He was like, hey, I want you to stop taking projects that are not kingdom related.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's terrifying.
Well, there's sacrifice in that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, for sure. So then I don't even know if I've told you this, like personally, but
I think we chatted a little bit about it, but maybe not the whole thing. Yeah.
So then this was like a month and a half ago at Young Adults, like when I was there, just me and Ivy were there, my wife, and he called me that, and I was like, cool, sounds terrifying. I'll talk to Ivy about it. Not to say I wouldn't be willing to be obedient, but like I just need to kind of process this,
Yeah.
I talked to her about it. We're like, okay, that sounds insane, but if that's what God's saying, then sure. And then a week later, I got offered something outside of the kingdom, and I took it.
Yeah.
And Ivy was supposed to serve at youth that night, and she had to not.
Yeah.
Which, like, in my head at the time, I was like, well, that's not a big deal considering, like, what I was going to get paid. Like, I got paid pretty well for it.
Yep.
But then the next time around when we served, I just had this moment of, like, man, like, I wish that Ivy got the opportunity to serve at youth.
Yeah.
Why didn't that happen again? Oh, yeah, because I took something that was outside.
Yeah.
God kind of put that in my heart, like, hey, like, this wouldn't have been a thing if you just listened to me.
Yeah.
And also, there's more beyond that, but God is just teaching me that right now of like, listen, like, you don't need to worry because I have all the opportunities are mine. All the resources are mine.
That's exactly right.
So you need to just trust me, and I will handle all the nitty gritty.
Yep.
And I know that, but it's scary.
But when it hits the wall, so to speak, it gets very real.
Yeah.
And you do find out what you're valuing and what you're trusting, frankly.
Yeah.
I think that's the key word. What are you trusting there?
Mm-hmm.
And, there have been times I think back in my life, where not that specific, where it's like, hey, I only want to take this, but where the Lord's asked us to do things in our family or in my own life that are risky, that cost me something, that take faith. And looking back, I mean, my wife and I were talking about this the other day, when we felt like she needed to come home and be with the kids, and we were dual income, and I remember, like, we were kind of joking about what we were earning at the time, and like, how do we do that?
Yeah.
How do we do that? But we felt so strongly that this is what the Lord's asking us to do.
Right.
And the Lord's been very faithful. But I think what you're talking about is like, there are consequences though. When, like, if we go a little harsher in what you're saying,
sure,
if you allow me.
Yeah, that's fine.
God asked you to do something, you didn't do it.
Yeah.
So there will be consequence.
Yeah.
Like he loves you enough to give you a consequence,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but the opposite is true as well. Like when we trust him and we think, man, how am I going to take, in your case, how am I going to only take this? Like that corporate gig pays triple
Yeah.
or more,
Right.
right? And it's half the time and all
Yep. Right.
that. Okay, but pay is one thing.
Right.
What did it cost you?
Right.
What did it cost you in your family, in your soul?
Well, and it was
What did you trade for that?
it was very stressful.
Yeah.
To answer
Yeah.
a little bit, it was very stressful. Like one of the most stressful shoots I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Not to say that there wasn't blessing from it. Like, of course, God used it to
Yeah.
bless us monetarily, whatever. But
Yep.
it was really stressful. It was
Yep.
a shoot that I was supposed to be doing very little posts in, and I ended up
Yeah.
having to do a lot because of mistakes I made on the shoot.
Yep.
Like, there was just, it turned out
Yeah.
good, but like it took a lot to get there.
Yeah.
And if I just wouldn't have taken it, I would have had a very chill weekend.
Yeah.
You know, like been obedient. Like there was
There
just
are
so
other things.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so yes, I agree.
But okay,
But,
I just, we can put a period on this.
No,
or,
that's fine,
or comma, but what you're talking about though, the Lord clearly has a theme here, right? Like when we chase cool, we're not being obedient.
Yeah.
When we are not good stewards of our resources, we're not being obedient. When we take the gig we're not supposed to take, we're Jonah, right? We're
Right.
not being obedient. We're going a different direction. So I know we're talking about creativity, but really there's something about, there's an obedience factor. And I think creativity is very vulnerable. I think in its purest form, we're offering a part of ourselves that maybe no one's ever seen,
Mm-hmm.
and we're putting it out there. And I don't know if we'll talk about this, but creatives get feedback like nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like customer service people get more feedback, but
Sure. Yeah.
creatives, when you think about it, you put this thing out into the world. You put this podcast out into the world, right? It is a part of you.
Yeah.
And, people talk about like keeping it, how do you keep it from not being personal? And so it is personal.
Yes.
Because you created it.
Yeah.
And it's part of you.
And hopefully everybody likes it.
Right,
Here we
yeah.
go.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But if you're doing that in a way that is not authentic to who you are, first of all, you're not putting yourself out there. You're
Right.
putting something else out there. And I just think, but God's created you. And if you're obedient to that and you go, okay, here's a piece of me, God, that I'm offering back to you. And God, what do you want to do with it?
Yeah.
Lead me in this way. Lead me. Like, I do not think it's crazy or weird or over spiritual to pray before you design something,
No,
to
for
pray
sure.
before you record something, to pray before you write it. Like, it should be, this is a bit churchy. I'll try not to make it churchy, but it should be, our creativity should be out of the overflow
Yeah.
of what God is doing in our heart. It should be a natural, like this. And I think that's when people talk about it comes easy to them. Sometimes people wrestle, like writing a song or a sermon or like getting that shoot right that you're trying to copy.
Right. Yeah.
You're just like, I cannot figure this out.
Yeah.
And I think there's beauty in that. I think that's worth it. I think sometimes God's called us that because what we learn in the process is more important than even the product we're creating. But there are other times where it's like, man, you look at someone else and you go, how do they it looks effortless.
Yeah. Right.
How do they design like that? How do they film that way? How do they write that way? And I think sometimes I think about it's the hours and hours and
Yeah.
hours that they, first of all, have worked on it. They've gotten better at their craft, but also as believers,
Yeah.
they're reflecting their relationship with Jesus. And
Yeah.
it's just coming through their creativity. And it gets to a big word. That's an anointing.
Yeah.
There's an anointing on their creativity that you cannot get your fingers on,
Mm-hmm.
that the next guy over with the same skill and the same background cannot do,
Yeah.
because they are simply not anointed. They're not called for that moment. And that's a unique thing we bring as believers. That's not necessarily out there, but certainly as believers, we have to lean into that idea that it's not just about the most beautiful thing we can make. Is it obedience to what God has called us to?
Right.
Has he blessed it, and is he anointing it for
Yeah.
what he wants to do?
No, that's super cool. I feel like you're preaching to me right now. This isn't even
I always say
a
the only
podcast anymore.
I was gonna say the only things I say if I'm ever preaching, I have the opportunity to speak once in a while. I only preach about things I work on myself.
Well, you should preach on this.
Because,
This is
well,
fire.
Mostly because it's real.
Yeah.
It's real. And I said this earlier, it's because I've screwed it up so many times.
Yeah.
Like, I just think I've learned the hard way so many times that you just can't, you know, be who God has called you to be. And don't settle into that, but believe that God has more for you.
Yeah.
Like, okay, get out of creativity for a second. We'll come back. But I spent years looking at someone else's gift mix. And I even like almost jealous and for sure envious. I don't know that it got to the point where I was like eating me up, but definitely looked at it like, man,
yeah,
I'm not that.
And I should be, or
and
whatever.
I should be.
Right.
And I should be. And I remember I even brought it to my pastor at the time, and I was like, I just feel like I'm not that. And do I have value? Do I have value here? And I'm grateful for good wisdom and counsel in my life, because you can get into environments, certainly creatives can, where we can be a little melancholy and we can, oh man, woe is me, and everyone's better than me. And, you need good people in your life who continue to call you to be exactly who God has called you to be, and not compare yourself to someone else or try to be someone else.
Right.
I did that for years, and it ate me up inside. And until I realized I'm not that.
Right.
And that's okay. Like I don't have those same speaking gifts or those same leadership giftings, but I'm not nothing.
Right.
And so I go, okay. Sometimes I look back on those years and I go, what a waste.
Right.
What a waste of what God wanted to do, because I was so focused on someone else, what I wasn't.
Right.
And I think, again, I would just say, if you're a creative listening to this, like, who has God designed you to be? I mean, really, like, what are the unique gifts, the unique perspectives, the unique talents that you bring to the table? Sure, there are standards that we need to hit. I'm not, but what's unique about what your voice and your perspective brings? And by the way, that's the only thing that's ever going to make it in terms of art form. And
right.
It's the new artist. I mean, what was it a few years ago? Like, you could put every country song, like, and I love country music, but you could like layer every top 20 country song on top of each other, and they're nearly identical.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And it's like, we're not after that, guys.
Right.
There's a formula that works.
Right.
There's a formula, but that starts to become less art and less creativity. It becomes more business.
Yeah.
We haven't even touched on AI. Like, I think right now, as we speak, top country song, top Christian song, both AI fully generated.
Wild. Yeah.
And that, I mean, what you can do with Midjourney and all these, like, you can create so much with a prompt.
Right.
So now the question is like, okay, what do we do as creatives moving forward? What's original? Which is a little different than creative.
Right.
What's original content? So that's maybe a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, all of that's actually something that I want to talk about. I don't know with you, maybe with somebody else. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm wrestling with that right now too, of like, when is the right tool with the right, sorry, how do I explain this?
Yeah.
I think you get what I'm trying to say, but like,
what's
something that's
appropriate
made,
to use? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yes. If
Well, like,
something is AI, does that automatically check it off as not worth using? Like, I don't know that I believe that.
I wouldn't. No,
but I
don't
also
agree.
think that there's a balance, and it's kind of like this.
We use all kinds of tools.
You know?
Okay, let's back it up. You go back to, if you go to back, like, there are people, you go back a generation that didn't want to use digital tools to mix audio, right?
Yep.
They're like, well, if it's not analog, it's not real.
Yeah.
Then you fast forward, and we don't use amps on stage anymore. Most churches now, we're using amp modelers. We're totally digital. Wow, it's not real. Is it? I don't know. It just seems like technology evolving.
Right.
So at what point do we cross that line? I think is a fair question. But I've heard designers, particularly graphic designers, say, well, AI is going to knock me out. It's not, To me, I go, okay, but what if you just become the best at prompting it?
Right.
So it becomes a tool in your tool belt that gets you where you need to go faster.
Right.
It shouldn't do the work for you in the sense that, like, it doesn't have original thought.
Right.
It doesn't have original design. So there's like we could get into like the theology of that, and like we get very philosophical very quickly.
What does it mean to be human?
Exactly.
What is the meaning of life?
Yeah, I mean, I think this podcast will be deleted because we
we're gonna get flagged or something.
Yeah, but if you can get really good at the tool,
yeah,
you dump this audio and this video into something. If the tool can like very quickly balance that audio for you and like pull all the major clips out, Opus is an example.
Yep.
Like, okay, that's a great tool. Doesn't that just mean that? Let's go back to what God's called you to do: work for the kingdom. Okay, well, to do that, I need to probably make my time more valuable because I got to provide for my family, which means I probably need to be more efficient with my time so I can take on more jobs. Why not find tools that help you do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that just makes sense to me.
I agree.
It doesn't feel like you've crossed a line. Now, I think if you're allowing it to write the whole thing and do all your work,
right.
A little different animal, write my whole sermon.
Right.
Totally different world. But yeah. Anyway, it's a good conversation. Good conversation.
No, that is. Cool. Well, the last question that I had for you, I actually think we've already talked about inadvertently.
It's prophetic. We went ahead.
Yeah, we did. So
anything we should have hit that we didn't hit?
No, I think we actually got more done than I wrote down, so I'm very happy. Is there anything else that you wanted to share that we didn't get to?
That's always tough, right? You turn the camera off and then you remember 5 things.
Right.
But I think, we were just talking AI, we're talking about tools, we're talking about all that stuff. I think I just go back to where we started, that beauty matters. Creativity matters. I think a beautiful design, beautiful meal, a well-designed home, even someone's style, what they wear, what you walk into a beautiful building. I mean, whatever, just picture that in your mind, what the thing is for you. It does something to us. We're wired a certain way that it speaks to something that words will never speak to. It speaks to something. It's like when you listen to a beautiful piece of music. It
moves you.
It moves you.
Mm-hmm.
It connects with you. And we are emotional beings. And I think as creatives, we need to tap into all of that. We need to not jump ahead and take a shortcut, but God, what do you want to do? What do you want someone to feel? What do you want them to see? What do you want them to smell? What do you want them to taste? Like, think through the senses, but also the emotions. What emotion am I trying to, sort of bring up in someone when they read this or when they, I think those are all very beautiful things. And I think they do more. Again, I'll repeat what I said at the beginning. I think we care more than we realize about those types of things, and they affect us more than we realize.
Yeah. Well, if I can steal from you, actually, we were talking about this before we hit record last week.
Yeah.
But you basically mentioned something along the lines of like, some of these things that used to be a topic of conversation for is this too much have almost become commodities now. Like,
without a doubt,
walking into a beautiful lobby with clean bathrooms,
a well-produced service.
Right.
Yes, they're commodities. They're expected now. They're normal things.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that it's kind of like the technology moving forward kind of applies to this too, where like there's certain things that are the topic now of is this too much, and eventually they'll become commodities. Like I work with another church in Illinois, and we do films on Sundays. I would say honestly, probably even more frequently than Journey does.
Yeah.
And their congregation loves it. Like people cry during service, and they give to the new cause, or they whatever, right? Like they get involved in the new serving opportunity because they felt moved by it. Like it's not as much a question, I don't know if it is here, but it's not as much a question in their congregation of like, is this worth doing? I feel like people are on board. I feel like it has become somewhat of a commodity, for better or for worse. Like I think that I just love what you said earlier in this podcast about like doing it with the right heart, making sure that it's God inspired, not just doing it to do it. There's even been times with that team and with our team here at Journey where I've said, hey, what if we made this film? And both of you guys, both sets of teams will say something along the lines of like, that's cool, but it's just not what our needs are right now.
Right.
Like
Right.
God has things that
Yep.
are pressing
Yep.
on our church overall, the vision that
Yep.
we're trying to follow,
Yep.
the
Yep.
obedience factor. Like we have this we got to do instead, and maybe it isn't as cool, but we need to highlight it, or we need to
Yep.
talk about it, or inspire, or
Yep.
whatever. We need to make people aware
Yep.
of this.
Yep.
This might be not as cool, quote unquote, but it is more important, and most importantly, it's what God's calling us to talk about.
Without a doubt.
And
Well,
I
and
love that.
I think the power of story, I mean, I know we're wrapping up, but just a couple quick thoughts.
No, you're good. Yeah.
The power of story is really important, what you just highlighted. If you think about it, I like to think of it sort of in terms of like ingredients. If you and I, ingredients are laid out in front of us, and we were both tasked with making the same meal, right? Even if we had a recipe for that, it's going to end up looking a little different, tasting a little different. But if we were to like just eat the ingredients separately,
Right.
it would taste weird. We wouldn't like, what are we doing? Just
Yeah.
eating a tomato. Like, I want to make a beautiful like sauce, and
Right.
you know. And so when you think about like power of story, you can have all the right ingredients, but you didn't put it together right. You didn't package it properly. It didn't taste good, if you kind of follow the metaphor there. And sometimes I think that's the beauty of, in this case, filmmaking, where we can take what's a good story, but maybe not a great storyteller, and we can
Right.
package it in a way that it's beautiful, right? And then people are moved by it. But if they went on stage maybe and tried to tell their story, it wouldn't be as strong.
Right. It might be like super run on
Yeah,
or
like
botched up.
takes
or,
12 minutes to tell a
right.
2.5 minute story, right? So
Right.
like, I think that's part of it. And I think I just want to say this last thing about values,
Yeah.
then we can wrap up. But a
No
friend of
pressure.
mine,
I'm good.
No, it's good. A friend of mine, good friend of mine, he's a filmmaker. He was many, many years ago, he was offered essentially the same job at 2 different churches. He was coming out of an internship. He's a super talented filmmaker. And he had 2 different churches, both great churches, beautiful ministries. And hey, we want you to come basically make films for our church. We want to hire you. And it was 2 different options. One church, because he was trying to figure out how to do this. God help me understand. And one church said, we want to have you. And he said, filmmaking requires resources. I'm going to need a camera, and I'm going to need software, and I'm going to need, And church A said, I'm sure we have something around here that we'll make it work.
Sure.
We'll figure it out. He said, okay. He calls church B and he says, hey, filmmaking requires resources. Here's what I'm going to need. And they literally said, what do you need? We
Right.
believe in this. Let's make it happen. Now, it wasn't a blank check.
Right. Of course.
But the difference was that second church valued it and understood it. The first church just saw it as like a extra,
Right.
right? Part of what we've been talking about here is, if you're serving in a church, as an individual, you have to be honest and authentic about what God's going to do. But also as a church, what do you value? What is it that you value? If you're a creative in a church, what is it that your church values?
Mhm.
Don't get outside the authority of your leadership. What do they value? Go amplify the mission and vision all day long.
Yeah.
Your job is to serve that mission and vision, not to just make things.
Yeah. Right.
It's to serve the mission and vision. And then, by the way, God will honor that and bless it and bring more resources your way. That's just
That's how he does
scripture.
things.
That's how he does
Yep.
it. Blessing always comes after obedience.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important. I think that's been a theme here today, is
Yeah.
just, what does God call you to? Be the most beautiful, creative, impactful version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Cool. Well, if people want to hear more, see more from
sure.
you, from Journey, from the things
Come on
you
over.
make.
You can come have dinner. Is that
Yeah.
what you're asking?
No.
Okay, Yeah.
Yeah. Where can they find more of all you, the church?
Sure.
Like, if they
Anything
don't know.
Journey Church, you can obviously follow Journey Church, JRYchurch.com, but you can follow us on social, Instagram, Facebook. We're on all those places. Personally, that's probably where you're going to see most of my work, is and what our teams produce out there. But yeah, give us a follow. Check out what we're doing. Let us know how we can do better. But yeah, good to be here.
Cool.
For sure.
Love that. Awesome. And if you guys want to see more from the Seek Wisdom podcast, we are on every platform. Other than LinkedIn, I guess, but we're doing shorts on TikTok and Instagram. We're doing long form on YouTube, as well as all the audio will be on Spotify, Apple Music as well. So thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you guys next time.